This story was sent to me by a person named Mark. After reading his email, I was genuinely terrified. I mean, I wouldn't want something like that happening in my house. I asked him if the story was real, and he insisted that it was a 100% true incident. For personal reasons, Mark didn't share his location, but I'll read it exactly as he sent it. A soft song floated in the home, where old hands worked tirelessly, sewing a beautiful robin's egg blue dress rimmed in plastic white pearls. Tenderly, the hands moved the dress onto a ceramic doll. The eyes were as blue as a summer sky without a cloud in sight. The dark brown hair shone in the dim glow of the evening sun. The polished gleam of faint red paint rested on the cheeks. Mistletoe red paint was gently applied to its lips with a soft puff of air to help dry the paint. Abigail will love you and you'll keep Abigail safe. Carefully, the doll was placed into a box lined with tissue paper and foam. A final layer of pink-colored tissue paper covered it, and the lid was placed. "Grandma," a young and eager voice called out. "Well, why if it isn't my favorite grandchild?" she replied. Laughing, Abigail called out, "I am your only grandchild, silly." Smiling, Grandma Mackenzie stretched out her arms for a hug. "And how is the birthday girl this fine day?" Looking around and seeing other children, Grandma Mackenzie gave Abigail's mother a look. A slight shaking of the head was all that was needed. "Well, there is someone who I want you to meet, Abigail." Pulling out the box wrapped in glittering wrapping paper with a purple bow, she handed it over. Pulling aside the tissue paper, Abigail squealed in surprise. "Oh, Grandma, she's beautiful. What's her name?" Laughing gently, Grandma Mackenzie replied, "Her name is Kiki. She's made with love and is hoping to be your best friend." Stopping Abigail before she went to play with Kiki, Grandma Mackenzie grabbed Abigail's arm. "This is important, so listen closely, my dear. Kiki here will always protect you and be your friend. However, there's a trade. You have to take care of Kiki and respect her." "Who's ready for cake?" Abigail's mother called, walking in from the kitchen. Abigail's mom froze for a moment at seeing the doll cradled in her daughter's arm. "What do we say to Grandma, Abigail? And Mom, can I see you in the kitchen for a moment?" A beaming smile filled Abigail's face as she hugged Grandma Mackenzie tightly before running to her room to play with her new friend, Kiki. Walking into the kitchen, Grandma Mackenzie said, "Don't you start with me, Emily." Right then, Abigail walked into the kitchen for cake, and they both noticed the doll wasn't in her arms. "Honey, where's your doll?" "We are playing hide and seek, and I am the seeker." After some cake, Abigail left and began her hunt around the house looking for Kiki. When Abigail was out of earshot and out of view, the look on Emily Abernathy's face would freeze you solid, not Grandma Mackenzie. She just opened her mouth to stop the tirade her daughter was going to have, but it was too late. "Mom," Emily almost shouted, "you said you couldn't make dolls anymore or your other hobby." "I don't know what you mean, Emily. As for the doll, I had time on my hands, and I heard what you told Abigail, Mom." "Really? She's only 7, Grandma cut in, "and now she has a friend to play with. Besides, you'll be around to make sure nothing angers Kiki." Years seemed to fly past, and Abigail took great care of Kiki. Their favorite game never changed. When one of her classmates asked, she simply said, "Hide and seek." Occasionally, Emily Abernathy would swear that the doll had moved from Abigail's bedroom to the laundry room shelf when Abigail would be at school. Emily would chalk it up to Abigail forgetting to put the doll back in her bedroom. When Grandma Mackenzie died, Abigail thought it proper to bring Kiki to the funeral. Many weird glances were shot Abigail's way, and some whispers followed. "Isn't she too old to be playing with dolls?" one said, bringing one here to her own grandma's funeral. No one seemed to notice at first, but that sweet, alluring smile, Kiki fracturing. No one can remember when or how it happened, but at some point Abigail left the doll alone. During that time, a crack appeared around the mouth of the doll, slivers of china on the flooring, and the once sweet smile that Abigail once knew was replaced with a disapproving scowl. Years seemed at some points to drag. Other years, it was like the blink of an eye. Over that time, Abigail slowly started to grow up and played less with Kiki. After a while, the doll was moved from sitting on Abigail's nightstand to a box in the closet. Mrs. Abernathy was now past her prime, and she hired a young boy named James to come help her move some boxes from her attic down to the living room. Mrs. Abernathy would have done it, except it was up 3 flights of stairs, old, rickety stairs that creaked and squeaked. Suddenly, there was a knock on her front door. "Mrs. Abernathy, it's me, James. I'm here to help." Mrs. Abernathy slowly stood, her bones creaking as she hobbled to the front door. "Oh, James, come in. It's so nice to see you again. How's your mother?" "She's well. Thank you for asking, Mrs. Abernathy. How are you doing?" "I am doing the best I can with my age." "But Mrs. Abernathy, you're not old. You're young," James replied. "Oh, you're a charmer. However, I know I am no spring chicken. We have a problem. I have a doctor's appointment I need to go to soon. Would you mind staying and moving things down from the attic by yourself? I trust you. After all, I've known you since you were just a baby." "Sure, Miss Abernathy, and I hope everything goes well with your doctor's appointment. Please be okay." "I hope so too, James." Mrs. Abernathy looked out and saw her daughter's car waiting out in front. "Well, my goodness, I better get going." She slowly walked to the front door. As the door opened, Mrs. Abernathy walked out and closed the door tightly with a solid thunk. James sighed and clapped his hands. "Let's get to work." Squeak, squeak, creak. James made his way up the stairs. He paused on the second floor. Miss Abernathy said it was the front, the top floor, but I'm curious. He slowly walked over to the second door on the right and opened it, and there was a nicely prepared room, all made up and ready and waiting for someone to sleep in. Walking around, James saw an old dollhouse sitting in the corner. This must have been her daughter's room at some point. Room after room, he opened doors, the loud, squeaking echoing, and occasionally rust fell from the door hinges. I wonder if she has some WD-40 or some oil for these hinges. James walked to the last door on the second floor and tried opening it. Thunk. Thunk. This dumb thing stuck. James took a better hold of the handle and pulled. The door squealed and groaned. Splinters of old wood came off as the door finally opened. "Son of a banana-loving, biscuit-making loaf," James yelled. He would have said colorful words, but his mother always said it's easy to curse, but harder to say things that aren't curses. Occasionally, James did swear. However, those times were rare as he tried to keep his tongue. I wonder if Mrs. Abernathy knows that this door was stuck. Probably not, and I will inform her about the door frame. James looked around for a light switch, and after some time, he found it. With a flick and a low humming, a light flickered on, producing a weak glow, revealing a thin layer of dust on the stairs leading up to the third floor. Grabbing the banister, equally covered in dust, James sneezed. "This is going to be fun." Each step James stepped on squeaked and squealed in protest as his weight was placed on it. After the 10th step, he arrived on the landing. Wow, there aren't that many boxes as I thought. Time passed slowly, and boxes piled in the living room in neat rows. As James was grabbing another box, he saw an old-looking doll. That's weird. Why would Mrs. Abernathy put a doll up here for... "Are you a friend of Abigail's?" A soft, childlike voice asked. James dropped the box out of shock and looked around, looking for the speaker of the voice, wincing as the box hit the ground, a shattering sound echoing. "Oh, that sounded expensive," the childlike voice said. James' eyes scanned the room. He saw a little movement of the doll. He could have blown it off. However, as he stared, the doll's head rose. The old ceramic face filled with cracks, the once beautiful paint faded or missing. The eyes of the doll, or more correctly, one eye and a hollow socket where an eye should have been. James stood in shock. He always yelled at horror movie victims to run when something was off, but now that he was in the same situation, he realized it's a lot easier to say something when you're not the one experiencing it. "You never answered my question. Are you a friend of Abigail's?" "Abigail? I don't know an Abigail." "Oh, I suppose you might know her last name, Abernathy." The sound of slightly breaking china filled the silence as the doll began to stand. Chink, chink, step. The thudding of James's feet on the stairs echoed as he raced down, jumping the last 2 stairs into the rectangle of light which was the doorway. Turning to slam the heavy door closed, he saw the doll on the top step. "Oh, are we playing a game?" With a bang, the door slammed. Not looking back, he took off. Close, so close to the second flight of stairs when he heard the creaking of a door opening behind him. There's no time. Turning left, he entered the bedroom containing the old dollhouse, closing the door. A muffled chink, chink, the sound of china breaking and reforming over and over again from the hallway. Frantically, he looked for a place to hide. Under the bed? No, that's too obvious. The closet was also a no. James's heart sank as he realized there was nowhere to hide. Where are you? I haven't had this much fun in a long time. The sounds slowly passed by, and James let out a breath of relief. The squealing of the door opening almost made James cry out as tiny china black shoes walked into the room, leaving slivers of china behind as it moved toward the dollhouse. I always loved this house. Abigail and I had so much fun playing with it. Slowly, ever so slowly, the doll turned and faced James, a long, sharp piece of china, wrapped in its small, worn hand. I can't wait to play with Abigail again. James tried to cry out as the sharp point of the china pierced his throat before everything went dark. Thank you for the ride, dear, Mrs. Abernathy called to the car before turning to enter her home. The first thing she saw were the neat piles of boxes, ready and waiting for her to go through. James, I am back. Thank you so much for your help. How much do I owe you? Welcome home, Abigail, said that childlike voice. Mrs. Abernathy froze. It can't be. Emerging from the living room, a small figure stood, a doll with faded auburn, cracked and fading paint on a china face, one vibrant blue eye, the other lost, who knows where. Kiki, when did you? Questions filled Mrs. Abernathy's mind. The doll laughed softly. A kind boy found me when he was bringing down boxes. Where's James? You better not have hurt him. He's done nothing wrong. Slowly, the doll moved its hand from behind its back, revealing James' head, dripping crimson-red blood. He wasn't a good hider, Abigail, Mrs. Abernathy cried out, her hand over her mouth. The doll started forward. You forgot about me, Abigail. You said we were playing a game when you placed me in that attic. The doll's voice grew deeper and angrier. After all I've done for you those years ago, that's how you thank me? Mrs. Abernathy tripped while turning to run, hitting her head. Scrambling back dizzily, she whispered, Those people didn't deserve what you did to them. The doll came closer and closer. The chink, 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 once again, filled the home. Cornered against the wall and the stairs, Mrs. Abernathy's vision swam. Her heart pounded harder and harder. It became difficult to breathe. Didn't your grandma tell you to treat me with respect and I will protect you? You left me in that attic for years, gathering dust. You're no longer fun, Abigail. Then, complete silence. Hello? Mrs. Abernathy? I know you need help, but it's time for James to come home for dinner, James' mother said as she pushed open the front door. Seeing two figures in chairs, she began to apologize. I tried knocking, but I got no response. And why is it so dark? She flicked on the light switch. A blood-curdling scream filled the night air as two decapitated bodies of both James and Mrs. Abernathy sat in lavish and ornate chairs. Mrs. Abernathy's head lay on the floor, her face blank, and sitting on her lap sat a doll that time forgot. Cracks ran along its once beautiful china. The once robin's egg blue dress was now stained red. What was once a head full of dark auburn was now faded, with patches missing. Cracks ran up the face, and where a glass blue eye once sat, there was now an empty hole. Being held by his blonde hair was James's head, a look of pure terror frozen on his face. A child's cry echoed from all around. Will you take me home? I am lonely. All right, guys, the horror ends here for tonight. There will be more terrifying experiences on this channel, so don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Share it with your horror nerd friends. If you've experienced something paranormal, you can email your story to the address in the description. See you in the next video. Stay safe until then, if you can.